Welcome back to the sweatshop, boys and girls. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you my opinion on this Sunjoe power washer and whether you would like to live with it or not. So, boys and girls, after 1 year of living with this thing and using it, I can say to you this thing is a fairly decent machine. It hasn't given me any issues and it performs every time I ask it to, which is great. Now, of course, there are a few complaints here and there, which I'll get to later in the video. First things first, before I tell you about those complaints, boys and girls, as minor as they are, I think there is something to be said about them because they may be a determining factor as to whether you purchase this item. But before I tell you about what things I don't particularly like about the machine or I think could be improved, what I want to tell you is what kind of use it has been put through. Now, of course, boys and girls, before we get started with today's video, do me a big favor and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss one of my new videos. Now let's get started. Essentially, it generally gets used for sometimes an hour to 2 hours at a time straight with really no breaks in between. I would say every couple to 3 or 4 weeks it gets used in this manner. Generally, it's whenever I'm power washing an engine bay for an engine rebuild, or I've got a really dirty car or my car's dirty. It tends to get used a little bit more in the winter time when there is more salt on the cars and I gotta blast all that crap off. So this thing is not getting used every single day, and it's definitely not getting the tar kicked out of it. It's not used for, say, a power washing business or any sort of thing like that. So I don't want you to get the wrong idea and, me not tell you about the use and just tell you it's a great product. This is something that gets generally used every month for a couple of hours a month. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. Now, one other thing I'd like to tell you is I don't know how many other power washers go through a lot of transportation, like this sort of model here. This is not really something I don't think is for commercial use, but this thing has been transported all over Ontario a few times, mainly to another place that I have up north that needed this thing quite badly, and this thing answered the call. I've taken it up a couple times in my wife's Forester, which I had to dismantle it quite a bit to fit it in. Of course, the reason why I had to dismantle it is not because it will not fit into the Forester, it's because I had a shit ton of other crap that I needed to fit into the Forester, so I literally buried this thing in with a bunch of other stuff. Of course, it went back together nicely, performed well, didn't have any issues, and of course, it is really easy to take apart. And if you have a smaller car with just a trunk and no hatchback sort of setup, you can fit this thing in by taking it apart really easy, which I thought was really nice. Now, my views may not be the best because the machines that I've had in the past have been such crap. I have had 3 or 4 Simonized machines in the past that consistently fail right after warranty. Within the first year or 2, they're just junk. So this thing here, just passing that full year of use, brilliant. Now, I still have that crappy old machine there, so I'll show you what some of the pros and cons are against that machine, and we'll show you that everything still works after a year of use and abuse. Now, besides being in my wife's car, this thing also had to spend some time on the back of my truck. We did 2 trips up to this property, which roughly equates to about 600 kilometers. So being on the back of my truck, I think that suspension may have been an option that was looked over. There are leaf springs there, but they're as stiff as a rock. So whenever going over a bump, this thing is getting jarred pretty good. And I think that's a testament to its build quality. I think it's fairly decently built because it of course still works after taking those bumps and hasn't had any hiccups at all. Now, boys and girls, let's go over the specifications for this machine so we know exactly what we're talking about. This thing here is the Sunjoe 3000 PSI power washer. The specific model number for this thing is SPX4600. Now, I think there is a new model out there which has a little bit more PSI, but they are basically the same in design as far as I can tell. Of course, I haven't purchased the new one because I have this one. So make what you will of the specifications from this one and compare them to the new one that they have out there. Now, boys and girls, I will be back. I'm gonna get that other pile of crap in the corner there and I'll show you what some of the benefits are to this machine. Boys and girls, on the right side of your screen is the piece of garbage Simonized that I picked up from Canadian Canadian Tire. That thing there is about 3 years old, and it stopped working about a year and a half into its life. Of course, Canadian Tire providing only a year worth of warranty didn't help me. So one of the benefits to the Sunjoe machine is that it has a bigger footprint. It's much more stable, which I really like. So if you're in the market for a power washer, look for something with a low center of gravity so that every time you pull the cable or you pull your hose, the machine doesn't fall over. The big problem with it falling over is it can kink or damage your hose. As you can see there on the Salmonize machine, right there is where your hose connection would be. It will kink your hose and destroy it, especially with the weight of the machine collapsing on top of it. The other thing with the Salmonize machine is, of course, it doesn't goddamn work. It's a pile of crap in terms of reliability. Now, the one thing that I kind of like with the Salmonize is that there was a hose reel. That was nice. The other thing was the hose is quite long. But none of those things are of any use if the piece of junk doesn't work. So, of course, the Sunjoe machine has that going for it. I haven't had a problem with this thing. So boys and girls, even though the Sunjoe has a larger footprint, which may deter some people, I will tell those folks out there who are looking at an upright sort of power washer like this that you're going to end up picking this piece of crap up all the goddamn time whenever you're using it, because it just is fall over happy unless you nail it to a goddamn board or something. With the Sunjoe, you don't have to do that. You can easily wheel the thing wherever you'd like to go and happily blast whatever you need. This shot here, boys and girls, is just a close-up of the machine in case you want to get a closer look at it. I know sometimes when I look at videos, that's exactly what I want to do. There is one on and off button, and the other button is just a pressure adjustment, I believe. I can't remember. I mentioned it in my first video, I think. But you can easily find that sort of information on the website for Sunjoe and the specifications. There are a few placards there telling you not to hurt yourself. And this here, boys and girls, is the back of the machine. And of course, if you're like me, boys and girls, you'll want to keep as many cords bundled up so you don't have to deal with them as much. I still have the original packaging for my power cord. I just like running my extension to it. And this is your inlet side for your power washer. Okay, boys and girls. Now, just before I start complaining, boys and girls, a few more things that I really like about this machine is its layout. I think it's really well laid out and thought out. I really do like the fact that the nozzles are laid out here really nicely. I think that's brilliant. It's just easy. Plus, there's a little quick start diagram, so in case you're not familiar with these sort of machines, the handle is nicely secure to the machine. There's a decent sturdy enough sort of holder there to keep it on the machine. There's a little hook here as well on the back to keep your clump of wiring together so that you're not fishing that around all over the place. I think it's a really good machine. Of course, that being said, boys and girls, you can't always have everything you want. Of course, that is something that my wife says often about me whenever talking to her friends, but that's neither here nor there, boys and girls. A few of the things that I didn't really like with this particular machine, or thought possibly could have been designed a bit better, would have been number one, a longer length of hose. I thought the hose was a bit on the shorter side. I didn't really like that. I thought maybe a 30-foot hose would have been nicer, but I don't know how that would have affected their pressure at the tip, if it would have or whatnot. So, you know, maybe they have their reasons for doing it. Maybe it's not just cost. I really don't know. That being said, it doesn't really stop you from doing much because it is relatively easy to move the machine around and it doesn't fall all over itself. So that's a great thing with this machine. Second thing that I didn't really care for, boys and girls, is the electrical plug here. This thing has a circuit breaker on it, which will drive you insane, especially if you have any clutter on your floor. Now, the issue is with it, boys and girls, is specifically this thing here will click on and off really easily. I don't know whether that is an issue with my particular machine, but when you plug it in, if there is really anything close to it, it will reset. I wish that this mechanism here was placed on the machine, and that way the chances of it being bumped by anything accidentally would be greatly decreased. So if that was something that I found kind of annoying, not the worst thing. Definitely something you can live with if you are careful with where you place the plug. Now, the third thing is not something that I really have any proof for, or really something that I have any scientific knowledge to offer you. It's more so a belief. I think that if there was more gallons per minute, that it may be able to blast off quicker, but I don't know that for sure. I mean, the positive thing with it having a lower gallons per minute at 1.3 gallons per minute is that you're saving water, and of course that's always good for the environment as well as your pocket if you're paying for that water. So pros and cons to everything, boys and girls. I will say, whenever I'm blasting, if it's a really thick set of grease and grime on like a subframe or a skid plate or whatnot, that you will have to go over it sometimes, a couple of times. And my memory with the Simonizes out of the box, that pile of crap when it was working actually blasted off pretty decently, but whatever. I mean, not gonna really hinder you in any way. You just have to go over it a couple of times. So if you're maybe in a little bit of a time constraint, that might be a pain, but not a huge deal. Other than that, boys and girls, there really is nothing to complain about. It's a great machine. I would definitely recommend this machine to you guys out there. I think it's reliable as well as well performing. So if the Home Depot or whoever sells it out there in your country still offers this thing, I would definitely buy it. I haven't had any issues, and I of course hope that you guys out there don't have any either. And of course, boys and girls, here's a shot of the product still working. We're gonna start off with the soap dispenser nozzle, and then we're gonna go from 0 to 40. Maybe a bit hard to see on camera, but there are some bubbles coming out, which indicates that we have soap coming out of the machine. It's a wonderful feeling, because my Simonized pile of crap didn't do that out of the box. Quick change, Chuck. Now let's hit it. Quick release, Chuck, as well as quick change. Wonderful, isn't it? Of course, this being my most commonly used tip, boys and girls, the ink used to indicate what kind of tip it is slowly wearing off. Nice thing is they put it on both sides, so you know, if you screw one up, you still got the other side to verify what you're using. 25. And finally, 40. That's a thumbs up for me and the Sunjoe. So boys and girls, those are my thoughts on the machine. Hopefully you guys out there, if you purchase it, have a great experience like I have had so far. Just to let you know, this video here has not been sponsored by Sunjoe, Home Depot, or any entity. This is done with me giving you my honest opinion, boys and girls. So boys and girls, hopefully you found the video entertaining as well as informative. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss one of my new videos. And as always, thank you for watching. We will see you in the next one. Welcome back to the sweatshop, boys and girls. Today, now on a few of those trips, I had to take apart the machine completely, meaning I had to take off the handlebars, separate the handle, as well as the hose and all that sort of stuff, as well as the wheels. Oh, for fuck's sakes. So, boys and girls, after first things first, but before we get to, oh, for fuck's sakes. Oh, I forgot about my truck, fucking idiot. I think that's do me a big favor. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss one of my new videos. Oh, for fuck's sakes. I'm supposed to know this, you know, after doing it like 100 times. If Home Depot still is off. And of course, boys and girls, here's a shot of it still working. What I'm going to do is start with the soap nozzle, and then we'll start off with 0 and end with 40 degrees of fuck. The printed description, fuck. Of course, this being my fuck. So, boys and girls, hopefully you find my opinion useful. Of course, if it is, as well as entertaining. Fuck. Of course, boys and girls, hopefully. Fuck. This is just my opinion, baby girl. What the fuck am I saying, man? It's not my child, man. What the fuck am I saying, bro dog? If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell as well. Oh, for fuck's sakes. Oh. Okay, alright, we can do this.